So you've clicked on this video, and the chances are you like The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Now, The Witcher 3 is an amazing game. It won Game of the Year in 2015, and with that being in 2015, it makes it a 7-year-old game. Now, there is hundreds of hours of content that you could get through in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt if you really wanted to complete absolutely everything. You could even double that if you wanted to include something like New Game Plus. There is a lot of content in The Witcher 3, but with it being 7 years since the game released, there's going to be a lot of people that have finished The Witcher 3. They've got bored of The Witcher 3 and they've moved on. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at games like The Witcher 3 that you would enjoy if you enjoyed The Witcher 3. We'll be looking at adventure, open world games and RPG games, anything that is somewhat similar to The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and is something that you'll probably enjoy playing through. But just before we do get into all of that, please be sure to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any content just like this. It really will help out the channel, so thank you. So, getting into the video. First off, we've got The Witcher 1 and The Witcher 2. Now, I am actually working on videos going over both of these two games, but obviously they are part of the Witcher franchise, so if you really want to stick to this Witcher franchise, then you should go and check out those two games. The Witcher 1 is a very old game since it came out in 2007, and it isn't really accessible on any platforms other than PC. But yeah, it's a very old game and the mechanics really aren't that great. But like I said, I do have a video coming out on that game shortly. But yeah, by all means, if you want to stick to the Witcher franchise, then these two games, The Witcher 2 is a bit newer with it releasing in 2011. And the mechanics are a bit better. Obviously, it's not quite up to par with The Witcher 3. But yeah, they're not bad games. And if you really want to stick to this franchise, then definitely go ahead and play these games. We also have Gwent, the Witcher card game. Now, if you are into Gwent, then obviously this is a perfect game for you. But if you aren't, then don't go anywhere near this game. Obviously, you're not going to enjoy it. So next up is Thronebreaker: The Witcher Tales. Now, obviously, this is also in the Witcher franchise, and it is a bit of a pricey game, I think, for what it is. But the reviews for this game are great, and it probably doesn't get the credit it deserves. It's on loads of platforms, with it being on PC, it's on all the consoles, and it's even on mobile. So like I said, if you want to stick to this Witcher franchise, then maybe you should go ahead and check out this game. And lastly, on the CD Projekt RED side of things, we do have Cyberpunk 2077. Now, obviously, this game, you might absolutely love this game, some people do, but then you might also hate it. Obviously, it really didn't have a good launch at all, and now it has sort of got a bit better, and I do think that now it is worth playing. In some ways, it is similar to The Witcher 3, with it being the same developers and everything like that, and an RPG game, but obviously it's set in a completely different era, so in a lot of ways, it is completely and utterly different. But yeah, it is in a lot of ways similar, and I think this is a good game now with all the patches it's had, and it's been about 2 years since it released, and it has had a lot of patches in that time, and it is getting, and there are plans for a few more patches on top of what it's already had. The game is definitely playable now. If you are on a original PS4 or Xbox One, then I probably wouldn't pick this up, to be honest. I don't think it'll be the best of experiences, but if you're on a high-end PC or a next-gen console, then by all means I would go ahead and get this game. I do think that it is a very good game, and it can be found for some pretty cheap prices these days. So now let's move away from the CD Projekt RED side of things. So first up, you probably thought they might be on this list at some point, and I will just say them now, and that is GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2. You've definitely heard of these games, and I do actually have a second channel, or well, not really a second channel, but another channel, where it is all focused on just GTA and Red Dead Redemption. And if you aren't interested in that, then a link to it can be found in the description below. You can go check out those videos, and I do upload on that channel every single week. Now, obviously, these games have a massive open world, and they are very popular. They're some of the best games of all time, and Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA 5 can both be found for some pretty cheap prices these days. GTA 5 obviously is a much older game, but Red Dead Redemption 2 is almost 4 years, so yeah, it is getting older, but is definitely the most detailed game there is still to this day. And if you haven't played this game, then I really do suggest it. You'll really like it. It sort of moves away from fantasy, definitely, compared to The Witcher 3, but in a lot of ways it is very similar. So if you haven't played these games, then I highly suggest playing them, and you definitely will enjoy them. Next up is a game that's actually older than The Witcher 3, and that is The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Now, you definitely would have heard of this game. It is very popular, but it is from 2011, so the graphics aren't quite up to par with some of the games today, but they're definitely not bad. Don't think they're bad, because they're not bad. They are good. There has been a load of different versions released. We're currently on the anniversary edition of the game, and this can be found for some decent prices. However, like I've been told by some people, that you should go for the special edition, since it's just better for the money, and you can find that for about £10, $10, depending on where you live. But yeah, it's definitely a game worth picking up. In a lot of ways, it's similar to The Witcher 3. I would say one of the main differences is that it's in first person, but in a lot of other ways, it's an RPG. It's very similar to The Witcher 3, and it does have that fantasy style with it. So for the prices you can find this game for, and the amount of content it has to offer, which is loads by the way, the game is very long and there's a lot of stuff you can get stuck into. So yeah, I definitely would suggest playing this game. If you want something with that sort of fantasy style like The Witcher 3, then I think this is definitely a good option. But if you're not into first person, then this definitely isn't the game for you. Next up is Elden Ring. Now I actually have this game, I've played it a bit, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm awful at it. Like, absolutely awful at Elden Ring. And it's not really my type of game, but I do know people that really like The Witcher 3 and they really like Elden Ring, because in some ways they are quite similar. And I do think that this is a good game. I'm not good at it. If you're not a hardcore gamer or anything like that, or you're not very good when it comes to actually playing games, because The Witcher 3 does have difficulty selections and everything like that, then if you do tend to play on easier difficulty for The Witcher 3, then I probably wouldn't go near Elden Ring. You'll find it probably too hard. But if you do like a good challenge, then Elden Ring is definitely the game for you. It's very new, it's got great graphics, it's available on all consoles and PC, and it's definitely worth picking up. One thing worth noting though for this game is you will have to pay quite a steep price, since it is a fairly new game. Next up is Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West. Now these are very popular games, and they are also now on PC. Well, only one of them is on PC, which is Horizon Zero Dawn, but that is a great game. In some ways these are similar to The Witcher 3, they're third person, they've got great story, and I definitely think that these are worth playing. They're not at that AAA price point, at least, well, Horizon Zero Dawn isn't. Horizon Forbidden West, obviously, that's only on PlayStation, it is very new, but that is a contender for Game of the Year, so it's definitely something worth checking out. If you are on PC, then I would definitely suggest playing Horizon Zero Dawn, since you can find it for some pretty cheap prices, and it is also not too hard to run, and it's got a great open world with a great story. And Horizon Forbidden West, obviously, if you have a PS4 or PS5, then yeah, I would definitely suggest picking this up. Obviously, if you're on Xbox, then you're a bit unlucky with this one, since it isn't actually available on those consoles, and it doesn't look like it ever will be. But if you're on PC or PlayStation, then definitely give these games a try. So, if you are looking to play a game like The Witcher 3, then hopefully you now know what's right for you. All the games I've listed are definitely games that I would suggest playing at some point. They are all great games. The only slight exception I'll probably have is The Witcher 1. I do think that is just a bit too old at this point, but I do have a video on that releasing soon, so be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss when that releases. If you have any other games that you think are like The Witcher 3 and are very good, then by all means put them in the comments and I'll be sure to reply to that. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any content just like this. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.